Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nitha Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. Happy Taco Tuesday. It is Taco Tuesday. This is episode 993. We are live on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Spotify, and all the social media formats. And we are joined by a really special guest. His name is Zach Moore, former NFL defensive tackle. He went to Concordia for college.
It's Concordia.
Yeah, I don't want to get the name wrong, but he went there for college and obviously played for the Patriots, where he won the Super Bowl, played for the Vikings, Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers, Panthers, and Cardinals. Man, what a great player in his career. And we're glad to have him on the show today. And fans, please tune in. We have this app called Spreaker. Obviously, you guys know about this app called Spreaker. You can tune in and ask questions to Zach today. But we are joined by Super Bowl champion Zach Moore. How are you and your family doing today? And we finally made this happen.
I don't know, right? Once again, I want to appreciate you having me. The fans don't know, but it's been like a little rough getting back and forth, but I'm glad we're here now. Hopefully there's more to come. Like I said, appreciate you having me. Family is doing well. I hope yours is doing the same.
Yeah, so we are great also. Thanks for asking. And a lot of actually 2022 has been great for all of us. Nothing going on with the COVID, and so everything's good. And even though you won the Super Bowl with the Patriots, I got to say this: how about them Cowboys?
Hey, I'm not hating. I know you're a fan. I had a real good time being there. So, it's one of the greatest, D-line roles I've been a part of. Some real cool dudes I met. So,
yeah. So first, tell our fans what got you interested in playing football.
So I grew up in South Side of Chicago. Quick background history. I grew up in the South Side of Chicago, and I didn't start playing sports like organized football until I was 15. Graduating from 8th grade, I kind of wanted to get into sports, especially in the environment I was in. It's a lot of danger, a lot of gang stuff going on. I didn't want to be a part of that. I wanted to stay out of the streets, keep my head focused, and I just tried out for football my freshman year, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So who were some of the NFL players that you looked up to while you were growing up?
Oh man, first Julius Peppers. That's like my number one player. That's my idol in the game of football. Mario Williams, Javon Curse. Oh man, it's a lot. Simeon Rice. Oh man, it's so many that's coming in my head right now. I like Jason Pierre-Paul. Really, I idolize the guys who I kind of favor body-wise, like taller, longer guys. So that's how I try to emulate on the field.
Yeah. So speaking of being from Chicago, obviously if you go back in the day with the Chicago Bears defense, man, they had one of the top defenses in the league back in the day. Were you the type of did you look up to the Bears defense also being from Chicago?
Yeah, I was a Bears fan, but quite interested in love. I didn't quite get into sports until, like I said, late, until I was in my teens, 14 and 15. Prior to that, I just really, I was just focused on being a kid growing up, playing outside, and I was real into drawing. But yeah, to answer your question, the 85 Bears, obviously a legendary defense in the game of football. So you gotta, being from Chicago, and playing football, you gotta look up to, that team and what they accomplished.
Yeah, so tell our fans, this is interesting. In high school, you played offensive lineman, offensive tackle. Yeah. And tell us about that process. What was that like, and what made you switch to defensive tackle?
So another background story. Many people don't know this, but I actually started off playing football as a wide receiver.
Wow.
That was my first position. I was tall, skinny kid. But and this is embarrassing for me to say, but whatever, I'll speak my truth. I couldn't catch. I didn't grow up catching footballs or whatever. I never practiced this. So I remember one time in practice, we had I want to say a scrimmage between, it was kind of like a joint practice between another school. And one of the coaches asked me, did I want to play offensive line? I was like, sure, why not? I'll give it a try. And I did so well. He looked at me and was like, how would you like to, be second string offensive tackle? I'm like, cool. In my head, whatever I got to do to get on the field, and then offensive tackle. I would have stayed playing it had I been able to gain the weight, but I couldn't. I really grew up a skinny kid. So that's what made me switch to the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, offensive tackle, that was my dream position. If I could have, gained the weight and matured into that.
Yeah. So fans, please tune in. We are live with Super Bowl champion Zach Moore. we already have a fan question in there. Yeah. So someone wants to know, what was your sack celebration throughout your career?
So, Arizona Cardinals. I don't know if you played the game Mortal Kombat.
No.
Oh, it's a character on there named Scorpion, and his one of his signature moves is to get over here. It's like really, people know the phrase "get over here." Sack celebration. I call it the Scorpion dance. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Wow. Yeah. So tell our fans about your high school career, because you were named the top 100 players in Chicago, Illinois, and you were regarded as a 5-star recruit. So what did that mean to you? And describe your high school career.
My high school career was good. To be honest with myself, I didn't really think I was that good because I had just started playing football. Like, I didn't really know the game that well. So I was kind of like filling it out. But, thank God I was blessed with athleticism. And I say my high school experience was good. It was just me maturing into the game of football and the position I was playing. But other than that, I enjoyed every aspect of it. I wouldn't do anything different.
Yeah. So speaking of switching positions, would you say it was an easy transition for you from being offensive tackle to defensive tackle? Because in my opinion, you can learn from both ways, learning the defense and learning the offense at the same time.
Yeah, so actually it wasn't an easy transition, but I was able to understand it better that now that I played the position. Like, I know how tackles set, I know how, what they're gonna look for to punch. I know, all the keys that they normally do. So switching to defense, now I'm able to, have that knowledge and reverse it and use it to my advantage.
No. Yeah, so obviously tell our fans about your college recruitment process. What was that like? And you picked Concordia.
Concordia.
University.
Yeah, so due to academics, I wasn't D1 eligible. And so Concordia was, I think, it was like the only Division II school that reached out, because I don't think we had any in Illinois at the time. And so, I talked with them. I went on a recruit visit. But I went on other recruits. Like, I went to NIU, Northern Illinois. I went to the University of Illinois. And it's probably like another. I went to Notre Dame. And it's like a couple of other schools that I'm missing. But overall, like, Concordia was the only, I guess, school that I was eligible to play at. And so this is like around the time of graduation, and I had to send in my letter of intent. And so this is the first time I heard about JUCO as well. I didn't know anything about junior college, so I was thinking about going that route. But my mom at the time, my stepmom, she had already sent my letter of intent to Concordia. So, I ended up there, and it was a great experience playing for them.
Wow. We have another fan question. They want to know, what does being a defensive tackle mean to you?
Well, honestly, I played everywhere on the defensive line. Like, I was primarily a defensive end, but I had to make, certain adjustments. Like, guys get injured playing defensive tackle, knowing what their responsibility is. But overall, playing D line, like, it's a great experience. Like, I get a real thrill out of putting my hand in the dirt or rushing off the edge or, sack.
Yeah, so tell our fans about your college career. What was that like, the experience like, and playing in front of the fan base?
Oh, man. So Concordia is for people that don't know, it's a small private Lutheran school in St. Paul, Minnesota. So the experience, playing college football, we didn't play in front of a bunch of fans, maybe like, I want to say like the most, maybe like a 2,000 crowd. Or if we playing like a top school like Mankato, it'd be like a lot more than that. But the atmosphere was great. And I just had the mindset. I just wanted to be the best that, I can be, because the coaches were really looking for me to show up as one of like their highest recruits. So I had to, I had that chip on my shoulder to be great.
Another fan question. They want to know, what was it like playing underneath the lights in high school football on Friday nights?
Man, it's nothing like it, especially, when it's a rivalry game. My rivals was Morgan Park High School, and we beat them my senior year. So that was like a real like way to cap off my senior year. So, Friday Night Lights, and it was fun to play. But, when I was playing, I don't know if I don't think they still have the turf now. We played on AstroTurf, which is like basically carpet. So if you like get a scratch or something, it's gonna burn super bad. But that's the part of the high school games that I don't miss.
Yeah. So, what would you say some of your best moments was in college?
Shoot. I think my sophomore year when I had my first digit sack season, I had 10 sacks in 9 games. And that's when I was all conference first team. I was all region. I was all American, honorable mention. That was like really like what kicked it off. And then I say the highlight of my college playing time was my junior year when I had 14 sacks. And that was like what catapulted me even further into, on the NFL radar, because then I was officially an All-American. Then I had a award for AFCA All-American, which is what first I held for like 7 years until it got broke, maybe like 2 years ago, about Chris Garrett of the LA Rams. So,
wow, yeah. So, speaking of the players I looked up to, did you get any advice from them, or did you connect with them before your NFL career, before you started your NFL career?
Not too many. There were guys that reached out. I remember way back. It's probably like my senior year. Chance Warmack, he was an offensive lineman. He reached out. That was like real big. And then once I got drafted and I got to New England, one of the players that I really hung around a lot was Chandler Jones, which was like a big homie to me. So, and I ended up his teammate again in Arizona. So, hanging around those guys, seeing what they did, to be great at what they do, it was a humbling experience.
Yeah. So this man is a free agent. He's about to get paid soon. Pretty soon.
Yeah, I hope so. He's like a master of pass rush. So he'll be a great asset to a team.
Maybe Jerry Jones must be lit. Hopefully Jerry Jones listens to this.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Have Chandler in Dallas. Now that Randy's out of there. Yeah,
but
nice.
Now everybody's talking Von Miller to Dallas. Hopefully, being from he has a home near the Cowboys Stadium. I heard.
Oh wow. Well, we'll see in the next couple of days, though.
Yeah, but for you, go. Speaking of obviously. A lot of former athletes we had on the show, or current athletes that we had on the show, they're always, obviously the dream is getting to the pros. And for you, before we get to your pro career, I just want to ask you this, because support system is really important for athletes. And I think I always say is family is number one when it comes to support system, and number two is the coaches and your friends or family. But for you, how important was it for you to have your family there from day one and your coaches from day one that believed in you to get to this point where you're at right now?
Yeah, all those factors are definitely true. I have 2 daughters, so that's my main source where I draw my energy from. But to be honest, you really have to believe in yourself. Like, yeah, you should have a support system, your family, your friends, but people might change on you. I don't, really know, everybody's circumstances. So I always kept it to, as long as I believe in myself and I do it for my kids, then, nothing really else matters. But, it's definitely a great feeling having, family and friends and coaches support you. But, like everything, not everyone's going to support you and not everyone's going to really be truthful and honest with you. So you got to kind of like, weed people out and find out who's really there for you, and then you can flourish from there.
Yeah, so we have an interesting question from one of our fans. They want to know if you say that offensive line, would you have had the same career that you had now?
That's hard to tell. That's like real hypothetical question. I would have no idea. I mean, I believe in myself. I believe I would have. But like I said, I just couldn't gain the weight. I didn't start really gaining weight until maybe like my junior or senior year in college. Because going back to high school, when I was coming out recruiting U of I, University of Illinois, they was looking at me as an offensive lineman. But at the time, I was maybe 230. That's real undersized. So, Yeah, but to answer that question, in my head, I believe I would have, because that's
Yes.
yeah, left tackle was my position in high school, and I love like playing on the offensive line and us being a unit. Like that's one of like the most throughout my whole career in the NFL. Every team I've been with, the offensive linemen always been like the tightest group. So
Yeah. All we can say is you made the right choice by switching to defensive tackle. You got the ring out of you got a ring out of it. So
I know, right?
Is it before we get to your draft experience, is there a possible return for Zach Moore coming back in the NFL?
No. I'm happily retired. No, I put my time in. I mean, I want to make things clear. I love the game. I always love football. Do I miss it sometimes? Yes, especially when I'm training guys or I'm showing guys like younger kids like a move or getting in my 3-point stance. Like I always get that euphoric rush. Like I can do it again. But to be honest, the business side of it, I didn't enjoy. You get to see some of the like behind the scenes of, shady businesses and, relationships that just doesn't work in your favor. That part I don't miss, but like the locker room, the camaraderie, I do miss. But, my time came and went. I was thankful for everything. My last season was 2018. I said I was retired in my head like last year. So, it's time to move on with life.
Yeah. So now getting to your draft experience, you got drafted in 2014, round 6, pick 198 by the historic franchise New England Patriots. Take us to that and being with your family, waiting for your name to be called. And once you got the name called by New England and the call by Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft. So just take us to that experience.
So how that happened was, so it was really like a real big, and I'll never forget, it was like a 3-day process. So the first day, I forgot what day, it was in May. So the first day I graduated from college. Stage, my family was there. It was good. And that was the first day of the draft. So that's like rounds 1 and 2. So then the next day comes, which is, the rest of the rounds. And I got a call 6th round. Now, in my head, I didn't really think I was going to get drafted. I'm a small school player, it was always, level of competition that was thrown at me. Like, I get it, whatever. But I was there watching it with some of my friends, and 6th round come and my phone rings. In my head, I'm not thinking it's a team, but, I see a Foxborough area code. Now, I pick the phone, it's Nick Caserio, like him and Bill Belichick. I'm like, oh, snap. Like, this is the Patriots. Like, yeah, we want to draft you. I'm like, this can't be real. Like, I'm on the phone with Bill Belichick. So the first day I graduated from college. 2nd day I got drafted. Then the 3rd day, next day I was on a flight to New England, to start my career. So it was like a real busy 3-day event. Like, it happened so quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
And speaking of Nick Caserio, now he's running his own team as a GM. So a great job by him. And
shout out to him.
Yeah. So speaking of the draft call, what was the call like with Bill Belichick? And obviously, sometimes he gave one-word answers during the press conference. But what was the draft call like with him and Robert Kraft, especially?
It was real good. I can't remember too much of what they said. I was before, like, this can't be happening. I didn't expect this to happen. Like the video of my reaction is on YouTube because I didn't really expect it, but it was real surreal. I'm talking to, a Hall of Fame legendary coach, somebody I watched on TV growing up. But, Bill, I say he's very different than what the media shows. He's a real hard-nosed coach, somebody you like to play for. I'm thankful that was my first NFL coach. He taught me a lot in terms of, how to be a football player and how to carry myself as a man, as a person. So that was a real great start for my career.
And so being able to, obviously you won the Super Bowl there in your first year, New England rookie year. So looking at, not only you played with Chandler Jones in Arizona, you got to play with them also in New England, Chandler Jones. So looking at the New England roster, obviously you got to play with Tom Brady, the GOAT. He's coming back again. You play with Rob Gronkowski. The offense was amazing, unbelievable. Brandon LaFell, Julian Edelman, Shane Vereen. But if you go on your side of the ball, you got Chandler Jones, Rob Nigovich, who we had Rob on the show 2 years ago.
Oh, nice! Shout out to him.
Yeah. Also, you played with Vince Wilfork, man. That, what a great player he was.
Great leader. Great leader.
So coming out as a rookie, how did it feel just to have that, saying that you don't have all the spotlight is not on you. You just come in and they make you feel comfortable, and you were surrounded by stars already in that team.
Yeah. So the leadership, I say the leadership was great, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You know, being around guys like Chandler, as you mentioned, Rob, Vince, Dante Hightower, Devin McCourty, Jamie Collins, Gerard Mayo, like all those guys were tremendous leaders on that team. So it was easy from me as a rookie looking up to older guys, it was real easy for us to find synergy together. It's a real tight run ship over there. There's not really too much, extracurricular activities, which I didn't mind. Some people have their experiences in New England. And they boast their opinion how miserable they are. They're playing there or being there. But I actually love Boston. I love New England. I love the fans, and I love my whole experience. So I really have. And then, to win a Super Bowl as a rookie, what's not to love about that? So.
Yeah. So speaking of another fan question, they want to know, what was the first thing you did after you got drafted with your family?
Well, I remember I went out and celebrated, had a few drinks, but I couldn't really do much because the day I got drafted, I had to be on the flight the next morning. So it was like a small window for me to do anything. So yeah, I didn't really get to really celebrate. I had to wait till the off season to do that. So yeah.
Yeah. So what was the message that Bill Belichick gave you guys that season in order to make that championship run? Obviously, you beat the Seahawks. Everybody knows what happened in that game against the Seahawks, but just tell us, what was the key message from Bill Belichick during that season?
Well, he always reiterated, do your job, do your 111, and that's pretty much as clear as you can get it. If you worry about your assignment and don't, try to do too much outside of that that's going to affect the team, then, we'll win games, which is exactly what we did. Yeah, we had ups and downs. People wrote us off after, I think, a Monday night game we had against. We was able to rally and, make a playoff in the Super Bowl run.
Yeah, so during practices, what was it like going against Tom Brady and the offensive line? And in general, speaking of Tom Brady, just tell us, what was he like as a teammate on the field, off the field, and what was it? It must have been a treat for you playing with him, and obviously when you heard the news that he's coming back.
Well, for starters, seeing Tom Brady work, his work ethic is unmatched. He's really a student of the game, and you pair him with a coach like Belichick, and it's two masterminds working together. It's unbelievable. He's real students of the game, and that's what you kind of take from that when you're around that type of leadership and that type of coaching, being a student of the game and working your butt off to get to that level. But as far as Tom, he's a real great leader. For you want to win a championship for. And same with Bill, they're gonna coach you hard, we're gonna play hard, we're gonna practice hard, and I'm thankful that I was able to go against high level competition. When I was there, the offensive tackles were Sebastian Vollmer and Nate Solder, which they're really big dudes, real big dudes. So going against them and honing my craft and getting better, that was key in my development.
Yeah. So, what was your reaction when Tom Brady recently just decided to come back for his 23rd year with the Buccaneers?
I wasn't surprised. He's a competitor, and I was kind of telling my friends this. You could tell he's a competitor because I don't think that playoff L sat well with him. That's not how you want to go out, especially as a first ballot Hall of Famer like Tom. I think he wants to go out on top. So,
are you still connected with him, or?
I don't know. I was never connected with him. We share moments with we'll have a brief conversation about how we're both 6th round picks. I was 198. I believe he was 199. I think he was either drafted a spot ahead or a spot before me. But in my head, I'm a rookie. I'm seen as a raw guy. A proven veteran's way, and just watch and learn.
Yeah. So speaking of. For you, obviously, another player that I want to speak about, you learned a lot from him I'm sure Vince Wilfork. This
Mm-hmm.
guy, this guy is a beast on the defense. So what was it like learning from him? And what do you say that being with him made you a better player also?
Yeah. So when you're playing with proven veteran guys, like when you're out on the field with them, I would say for me, your confidence rises, and it really makes you step your game up because you don't want to disappoint those guys or make it seem like you can't be on the same level or compete with them. So it was a great experience learning from him as well. He's been doing it for a long time. So I remember watching him in high school growing up and to actually be on a team with him. And, we used to have dinners at his house, be around his family and everything. So he's a real good person outside of the field too.
Here's another interesting question from one of our fans. They want to know, what does it take to make Bill Belichick laugh?
That's a good question. So what's interesting is, okay, so my rookie year, we had to do it's like a rookie thing. I don't want to call it hazing because there was never any hazing at the Patriots. So we had to do skits as rookies. So I remember one skit I came up with, I had to impersonate Bill Belichick, and I had it down to a T. I had a blue button-up shirt. I had some team, and I gave this whole I emulated his voice so well, and I thought it'd make him laugh because it made everybody else laugh. But I don't think he liked it too much, and he made the rookies run out to practice. So I'm not too sure what to make him laugh.
That's crazy.
I guess when you bring up social media, he likes to make fun of it, like InstaFace or what do you call it, Snapspace.
Yeah.
He know the names of the social media, but he just like to be funny with it.
Wow, and one of his famous lines is "On to Cincinnati." So
yeah. That's what it is. After every game, we don't have to be tied up too much in what's in the past. We're moving forward.
No, but in all seriousness, that's the type of coach I would want to play for, though, because obviously a winner, and you can learn a lot from him.
Yep, exactly.
But for you, take us to that Super Bowl game against the Seattle Seahawks, and were you guys confident going in? Or obviously Seattle is another great team on the NFC side, but for you, what was your guys' confidence level going into that game, the Super Bowl?
It was real high, especially after the AFC playoff or the AFC championship. We played against the coach, the whole Deflategate thing. But yeah, we was confidence was real high. We that team was very confident the whole season. Then leading up to the Super Bowl, we know who we were up against. So we just played our game of football, and it was a real tight-knit game. It came down to the wire. We didn't expect. I don't think anybody expected it to end how it ended, but I'm glad it ended that way. Yeah. And Bill, him being a mastermind, his team behind him, I guess they knew what was going to happen. They communicate through the headset and everything. So when Malcolm got that interception, it was like, oh snap! We about to win the Super Bowl. It was hilarious.
Yeah, so speaking of that play, were you guys surprised that Seattle ran the ball? Because a lot of the Patriots defensive players said that they were surprised. So were you surprised that they ran the ball? I mean, decided to throw the ball, but not run the ball.
Yeah. So I know I was definitely surprised, but when you found out later what actually happened, as far as the person, the play Bill called and what Pete saw and how he thought he should execute that play. But nobody expected them to throw the ball with Marshawn Lynch on the 1 yard line. So
wow. Yeah. Yeah, so after that, after when Malcolm made that interception, which, man, what a great player he is too. And once he got the interception, and what went through you guys' mind? And once he won the Super Bowl, and man, having obviously it's a long season, going through a lot of ups and downs, but you guys made it to the Super Bowl. So what went through your mind after you won the Super Bowl, especially in your rookie year?
I didn't know where to start. It was I never had won a championship in football, not in high school or in college. So for my first championship to be a Super Bowl, to be a world champion, that was, I mean, it took a long time for me to win a championship, but I'm glad that was the first time I became a champion. Everything else after that was pretty much it was floating on cloud nine, going to the White House, shaking hands with President Obama. The Super Bowl parade, that was insane, seeing all the fans and supporters. You know, shout out to the New England fan base, one of my favorite fan bases. You know, just that whole experience, like it's hard to, you just had to like be a part of it.
Yeah. So, what was the first thing you guys did after you won the Super Bowl?
Oh man, we partied. Like,
Yeah.
what else is there to do? Like, we won a Super Bowl. We going back to the hotel. We partied. I remember seeing Rick Ross there, Triple H from, you know, wrestling. It was like all these stars came out. It was cool.
Yeah. So, speaking of New England, just tell our fans about other than the Super Bowl win, what would you say your best moments was as a Patriot and the fan base, obviously.
Back against the Chicago Bears and Jay Cutler, because I'm from Chicago, so to get my first sack against my hometown team, that was something I really like, you know, honor and something that's real special to me. Other than that, it was just the whole experience, like just being able to be around so many great players and great coaches and learn and be able to carry that until, you know, onto, you know, every other team that I've been on.
Yeah. So, so obviously, was it tough? Obviously, NFL is a business. A lot of players move around. So was it tough for you? You had to leave New England, and did you ever think to yourself maybe you could have stayed there for the whole of your career?
You know what? To be honest, I do think about this sometimes. Like, what if I would have stayed? Because honestly, going into my second year, we kind of had the discussion, me and the coaches, that they wanted defensive tackle instead of like a DN outside linebacker. And at first I enjoyed it, but you know, as I gained more and more weight, I kind of felt uncomfortable. I didn't feel like the athlete that I was drafted to be. I was strong and I could move pretty well, but I just didn't feel comfortable being that heavy. So when it came 2015 after the preseason, and I met with Bill and Nick, and you know, we was talking about coming back on a practice squad and I guess developing there. I kind of made the decision that, you know, I didn't want to do that. So I had a conversation with my agent. You know, he listed off the teams that would be interested in signing me, and I chose the Minnesota Vikings as my next step.
Wow. So speaking of, what was it like going from team to team? Obviously, Minnesota, Dallas, 49ers, Panthers, and Cardinals. What do you learn from moving from each team every year?
Just that, the business, like you're not guaranteed to stay on the team. Nothing's, you know, set in stone. You really got to work your tail off to earn a spot on the team. You really have to have a sharp, I want to say sharp mental fortitude, you know, going from city to city, teammates, new coaches every year, learning a different playbook. Like that's not something that's easy, you know, learning all these playbooks every year. But, you know, thank God I was able to do it. Yes, it was mentally stressful and it tested my mental health a lot. You know, I felt myself getting down and depressed over a period of time, moving so much. So I was able to be resilient and try to fight through it. And, you know, I think my career ended the way that maybe it should have. You know, I had my best career in Arizona, and that's because I was able to really show what I can do. But overall, it was a good and bad experience moving everywhere. I didn't really particularly like it, but I'd say in doing that, I lived in some pretty dope cities that I probably wouldn't have been to had I not been on certain teams. So, and met a lot of guys that I probably wouldn't have met if I would have stayed. So.
Then you already had, obviously you bring that winning mentality to each team, obviously from winning a Super Bowl from New England. And I want to ask you, what was it like wearing the same uniform in Carolina as a player you looked up to, Julius Peppers, we used to play. So what was it like wearing the same uniform as him?
That was insane. Like when I first got there, and I guess like his locker, this was probably like, this was during the season, and to see him like, because I watched him play when he was on the Chicago Bears, going to the Bears Vikings games when I was in college, and then to be his teammate, I was like, look how life comes full circle. Like, I never would have thought, you know, I would be teammates with one of my idols in my lot, and then move on to training camp and the season, my locker's right next to him. So they were like, it was unbelievable. And then just learning how he carries himself as a vet, and dude's like a freak athlete for somebody that big. So
did you tell him that you looked up to him?
No, I didn't want to be a fanboy. I wanted to respect him, you know, be his teammate. But yeah, in my head, I'm like, I can't believe I'm teammates with Julius Peppers. So that was dope.
Yeah, Zach. In our opinion, man, you had a great career, and obviously you worked your ass off the whole time, your high school, college, and you got to where you wanted to be, won a Super Bowl. And how grateful are you to be in this position, being able to learn from great defensive players as teammates? Like I said, Vince Wilfork, Julius Peppers. Obviously, you got to learn from a lot of players in Dallas too, but how grateful to be in this position to be able to learn from those type of players.
It's an unbelievable experience. I never would have thought it for myself, but I continue to work hard and just stand out. I didn't really have a real easy path. I didn't go to a known college. I wasn't drafted high. I wasn't regarded as like a high draft pick in the NFL or something. I was kind of like what they would call like a raw player, somebody that had to develop, which is understandable from the circumstances that I came from, but. Just having that chip on my shoulder and working hard and being part of the 1%, it was real tough for me to even be drafted coming from, everything I come from, Southside Chicago, high school, college, or whatever, just constantly proving myself. He played a Concordia lower level competition. I remember my first practice with New England. One of the personnel guys pulled me to the side. He said, for a guy that came from a small school, you sure don't look out of place. So I'm like, that was a real big compliment. I was able to show that I belong. And going forward, I'm able to, be in a position where I can feed this information to younger guys. That's something I'm real big on now, especially with, mental health not being really talked about. I want to help as many guys that's, going through the process or want to go through the process or in the league right now as much as I can. Because to be honest, I didn't really have like a big homie growing up or like in the NFL. Yes, I hung around other guys, but it was kind of different. Like, I want to be like that guy that, I don't even have to know you. You can be on some player from the Jacksonville Jaguars. And if you need like some, words of advice, words of encouragement, I have social media. Anybody can hit me up, ask me like how I felt and about this, that, and the third. And, talk about more about mental health. So,
yeah. So speaking of mental health, we're big advocates in mental health. I actually do another podcast on the side. It's called the Roundtable Series. We're only we have done only 2 episodes because of our work schedules, but we're trying to get back going with that. With episode 3 coming up soon. We will love to have you on that show because I think it fits where your story is, and we talk on that podcast. We talk about mental health. And other things that we can help other athletes in. And I work with 4 other people on that panel, including Marcus Ogden, if you know him, a former NFL player. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's part of that panel too. And so I'm hoping we can get back with that podcast also, and we will also have you on that one to talk about mental health. And we also had Marcus Smith on the show, if you know, on this show.
The lineman?
Yeah.
I believe we're in the same draft class.
Oh, yeah, we're. Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah, so we had him on the show recently here on this show, and he's big into mental health. He's been through a lot of his situations. So it's just, me and my team are learning day by day from this show and having former. To be honest, it's not about what college you go to. It's about how hard you work.
Yeah, definitely.
And where you want it to be. If you want to get to your goal, then you got to work hard. And some people think it's all about which college. But it's all about talent, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like you said, like especially with this day and age of social media, like guys aren't hard to find. So all you gotta do is put the film out there. Like when I was in college, social media was around, but it wasn't as big as it is now. So I really had to work hard to put the film on. Thank God I was. And I'm blessed to be the first player in my school's history to be drafted and in my conference. 23 years of the NSIC, no one has been drafted. And I was lucky to get drafted.
Yeah, so we're going to get to the Cowboys later, but we have another fan question. They want to know, what was it like reuniting with Chandler Jones in Arizona?
Man, that's my guy, man. He's such a funny dude. I'm hanging around Chan, man. I see him out here, every so often in Arizona. But yeah, that's just another guy who's just excellent in his craft. Like the way he's able to just be a master of pass rush and to learn from him and to play behind him. Like to come in on pass rush situations for him or rush beside him. Like, that was a real cool experience. But I say that 2018 team, like the D-line locker room, it was one of like the most funniest group of guys I've been around.
Do you obviously still keep in touch with Chandler Jones? Have you reached out to him lately during his free agency process or no?
No, I don't really like get into guys' personal thing. I don't really, like, because when I talk to guys, I don't want to like talk football all the time.
Yeah.
I like to talk about other stuff, like how's your family, what you doing this off season, stuff like that. But if he's willing to talk about it, I will. And sometimes I see him up at Exos, which is like a training facility out here up north for pro athletes and like college athletes, or like pretty much any like athletes. So
maybe you can help us recruit him to Dallas. I don't know.
I think that's what his agent is for. That's what they get paid.
I'm joking. But yeah, so speaking of Arizona, you got to play with Larry Fitzgerald, David Johnson, Christian Kirk, who just got paid a lot of money by Miami, and Hassan Reddick, your former teammate, got paid just now with the Eagles. So congrats to him. And what was obviously another great organization. So what was it like being part of that team?
It was great. The way I ended up there, so I was released by the Panthers, and Steve Wilkes, who was the head coach of that team, he was the defensive coordinator for the Panthers in 2017. So fast forward in that offseason, he left to go to Arizona. So the 2018 season, after I want to say the preseason, I'm on a flight back home here to Arizona, and luckily I had bought like the internet on the plane, because it was like a long flight from Carolina back to Phoenix, and my agent had texted me while I was in the air. He was like, how do you like the Cardinals want to bring you in like as soon as you land? I'm like, man, that's like really a blessing. But I knew because I had that connection with Steve Wilkes prior to Panthers, so. I'm really like, bummed out that season didn't work out for him and they didn't give him a real chance to flourish, because I believe he could have turned that team around. Yeah, but that was a guy that I really loved playing for, and I'd do it again if I could.
Yeah, I mean, I made a mistake. I meant the Jaguars for Christian Kirk, not the Dolphins. Jaguars for Christian Kirk, your former teammate. But speaking of Steve Wilkes, what do you learn from him as a coach? Obviously, you didn't last that long there, but what did you learn from him the time you were there with Steve Wilkes?
Well, yeah, I learned a lot from him from being with the Panthers and the Cardinals. Something that he always preached on, listening with your eyes. That's probably like the first time I've heard someone say, listen with your eyes. In football, but like in life, like one thing that I kind of preach to younger guys is, believe all of what you see and little of what you hear. So that's kind of one of the big things that I took away from him.
Yeah, so speaking of the Cardinals defense, we also had your former teammate Antoine Bate on the show 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, AB, OG.
Yeah, he's awesome. And did this defense remind you of the New England defense, or?
The Cardinals that year? Mm-hmm. No, I didn't. It was his own defense. The scheme was different. Yeah, everything was different, but I wouldn't compare it to that. It was much more interchangeable in New England. That's kind of like how their defense was during the time. Like, you got to be able to plug and play everybody at different positions. The Cardinals, it wasn't like that. It was a 4-3 team. So, everybody had a job responsibility. It wasn't really interchangeable like that. So,
yeah. So what would you say like some of your best moments as an Arizona Cardinal?
Man. So I had a span of 3 games with a sack, and I really had to earn those reps, especially playing behind all pro players. So there's not going to be that many opportunities for me to get third down rushes, with him. So, they want, their guy on the sideline. Like, that's really understandable. So that was like really my time to really hone my craft, learn from the best. And, when I get my time to shine, then it's time to work.
Yeah, so we got a couple fan questions in here. One of our fans want to know what's your hype music, and another fan wants to know where do you keep your Super Bowl ring?
Okay, well, my hype music, I don't know. I listen to a lot of Chief Keef. I'm from Chicago, and I don't know. Chief Keef always gets me, juiced up. Like Don't Like, Sosa. Let's see. I listen to a lot of Rick Ross, Jeezy. Yeah. I listen to a lot of like hype music. But as far as like my Super Bowl ring, I keep it in the safe at home. I bring it out sometimes, if people want to see it, or I'm doing like events and stuff. So yeah, that's why I keep it.
Yeah. Now getting to your Dallas Cowboys career, and obviously big Cowboy fans here, and you got to play with Dak Prescott, Zeke, Jason Witten, Tyron Smith. Obviously we had a great defense there too. So what was it like being with Dallas, another great organization, Jerry Jones, and what was that like for you?
Well, getting there, disclaimer, I didn't know Texas was that hot. Like that had to be some of the worst heat I ever felt in my life. 100 degrees, humid as ever. Like practices, and some players can relate to this if they hear this. Like it gets so hot where like your shoes fill up with like sweat and moisture, and it's like a terrible swishing sound it makes. Like it's nasty. But that was one of like the most like, and my defensive line coach was Rod Marinelli.
Oh yeah.
One of the most, I wouldn't say hard, but it was pretty demanding there. But that year, I believe did we go 12-4 or 14-2? I can't remember. Maybe it was 12-4. But yeah, that year was pretty good. Seeing Dak and Zeke, get busy their rookie year, it was unbelievable to see. Like you said, that offensive line was very, very talented. Tyron Smith, one of the best, tackles in the game. Zach Martin, all those guys are pretty good. And, the defensive side of the ball, they was all flying around making plays. So it was fun to be a part of that year.
Did you get to go against Tyron Smith in practices?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
I did.
What was that like?
Hey, he is who he is. I can say that. He is who he is. Ain't no fluff about it. He was pretty technically sound and, good on his feet and strong. So
yeah, so speaking of that defense, obviously Tyron Smith and Brandon Carr, Claiborne, Collins, Church, Brian Jones, Scandrick. So what was it like being part of that defense? Obviously, we have a great fan base too. And what was that like playing in Jerry's role in the fan base?
Well, I say Jerry does take care of his players, like state-of-the-art facility. I can honestly say that was the best facilities I've ever seen at a pro level. Like it was unmatched. Like as far as like Jerry and the organization making their players comfortable, they do a great job of that. As far as the defense, like I said, like our defensive coordinator and my defensive line coach is Rod Marinelli. So his whole philosophy was flying around, playing down fast. It requires very little thinking of what you got to do. Here's your assignment, execute it fast, execute it hard. So yeah, he does a great job of not putting too much on the players' plate so we can just have a free mind and go play.
Yeah, and also you got to play with Randy Gregory. When did you realize that he can become a star like what he is right now?
I always thought he was talented, but and I was there with him for maybe like a couple of months. I think this was like in the midst of him going through everything he was going through, and it was great to see everybody in that building was rooting for him. And I'm happy that he turned his life around, signed a big deal. So I couldn't be, more happier for him.
Yeah. So speaking of taking chances on players, I think the two franchises that does this the most is the Patriots and the Cowboys. They like to give players coming off a horrific injury or something happen throughout their lives. Like for example, Jalen Smith, and for the Patriots, they got a couple players that been through a lot. So how important is that for a player that the teams are still believing them and they want to bring them into the franchise?
I think that's a confidence booster because, with injuries and off the field issues, that takes a toll on the player's mind, their confidence and energy levels and all that. So when the team, is willing to take a chance on them, it can go either way. Some guys don't get it and they ended up falling down the same rabbit hole, or other guys look at it as a second chance and, they're able to turn their careers around. So it can go either way, but I'm happy for those guys that take that opportunity and turn, their life and career around because it doesn't happen for everybody. So.
All right. Tell this is the $100 million question. Tell Cowboys Nation What was some of your best moments as a Cowboy?
Well, I didn't really play. I only played one game before I was released and signed to San Fran. But that entire season, watching Dak and Zeke's rookie year and watching, being the stars that they are, and in that one game that I played, flying around the defense, that was like an incredible feeling. Being coached by Rod Marinelli, who I regard as a very great coach, like learning from him and just progressing as a player.
Yeah. So, did you like? Were you the type of player that always liked to fly around on the defense?
Yeah, I mean, the less you have to think, the more faster you can play. And so that was Coach Rod Marinelli. He doesn't put a whole lot of play to the playbook. He wants you to do, very, very little and do that well. So.
Yeah, so I want to talk about another former teammate you played with in Dallas. Another inspiring story, Travis Frederick. He had to retire, obviously going through a lot there. And what was he like as a teammate? And obviously his career was cut short, but he was a great offensive line for us. Line for us.
Yeah, that whole offensive line, I'll say they were very humble, hardworking. You really have to step your game up to compete with those guys. It's very misfortunate he had to retire due to circumstances. But, at the end of the day, as players, we have to take our health into full consideration because, some guys' careers end on the field. My draft mate, Ryan Shazier, like I wouldn't have expected that to happen to him. So, thank God he's okay. Thank God he's alive. And, I always good health for every player that's, doing it at the pro level, college level, high school level. Just take care of your health, seriously. Take care of your body, take care of your mental.
Yeah. And I want to ask about Randy Gregory. And obviously everybody knows what happened today. Signed with the Cowboys, but unfortunately went to the Broncos. Did you ever witness that when you were playing, when a player does that, like go sign with their team, but decides to go somewhere else?
I think that happens every year. Maybe some smaller name guys that do that, but in my opinion, he just doing the best interest for him and his family. That's what you really got to take into consideration. So, I mean, fans might look at it as like that's foul, that's messed up, but you got to get into the head of Randy Gregory and think like, okay, if I had an opportunity to make more money for me and my family, like, what would you do? 9 times out of 10 people would, take the better deal. So.
Yeah. So now looking back at your career, what's it like now being a former athlete and helping out these young kids and get to their goals? And what's it like being a coach? And obviously you're big into fitness and obviously mental health is a big thing in your life too. So what's that been like for you, just to transition from football?
It's been a humbling experience. I say, well, I'm always an athlete first and foremost.
Yeah.
Athleticism will never leave me. Well, I ain't gonna say never, but it'll rarely leave me. I'm always working on it, multiple times throughout the day. But just aspects of coaching and fitness, getting people to realize how important mental health is. That's just me, paying it forward. I want to be a guy. I'm not a gatekeeper of information. Anything that I have to share or I think can help somebody else, I'm always willing to talk about it. You don't have to know me from a can of paint to have a conversation about anything. So that's something pro level, high school, college, if you have something on your mind as far as questions about physical health, mental health, don't be afraid to reach out, to somebody and talk about it. That's real important. I see a therapist twice a week who I definitely has been instrumental in my, healing process. So, just reach out and talk to somebody. Always be a student at a game and, always willing to absorb information.
Yeah. So what's obviously with the COVID still there, but now what's it like being back on the field with these kids, helping them out?
Like I said, it's a humbling experience, teaching them all the stuff that I know, helping them any way I can. I said, like, I'm not a gatekeeper information. So whatever tools I've learned over the years, the information I have, I'm going to share it so people can not make the same mistakes that I did. I think of it as borrowed knowledge. I bought the knowledge, so I'm giving the borrowed knowledge to the guys so they don't have to make the same mistake.
Yeah, so before we get to the last few things, we have another fan question. They want to know what's a scouting report on your kids, your own kids.
Like the people that I train?
No, yeah, they want to know the scouting reports on the people that you train, and then you're also your own kids.
Oh, my own kids. Well, I have 2 girls, so there's no scouting report on them. 12 and 6. One was into soccer, and the other one, she's starting to develop into her own self. But as far as like the kids that I train, I don't really look at that stuff. Like I kind of leave that, that's not really, that's out of my spectrum. My focus is developing players.
Yeah.
On the field, off the field, and just, having a place that, they can come be themselves, talk to me, ask me anything, and, just have that clarity and conversation with them.
Well, yeah, so the last 2 things here, our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach. Now he's a coach for Grambling State University. We're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe, the kids stay safe. So we'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
Okay, appreciate it.
And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the essential workers right now?
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. I greatly appreciate everybody. I greatly appreciate anybody who's making a positive impact in our society and on this earth. We need more positive people in the world. Stay away from negativity. A gatekeeper of information, like bring someone with you.
Yeah, well said. And before we close this out, would you like to plug anything to our fans and where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm building my Twitter back. It got deleted. Oh my God, I was so upset. It got deleted like 2 months ago. But as far as Instagram, I'm on Instagram at Rushmore90, RUSHMORE90. I'll be back posting content. I had to take a hiatus just to get my body and my mental health back. But I think going forward the next couple of days or weeks, I'm ready to, make all the information that we're talking about public so I can further help kids.
Yeah, so there it is. That wraps up episode 993 with Super Bowl champion, former NFL defensive tackle, Zach Moore. Go follow him on Instagram. Man, Thank you for joining the show. It's truly an honor, and I learned a lot from this. And thank you for sharing your story today to me and our fans. We would love to have you back on the show at some point down the line so you can meet the full team. But, man, keep up the great work. Fans, he's the hardest working person right here, Zach Moore. But thank you again, man, and keep up the great work, and we'll talk again later.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we had to get some better coordinators so I can meet everybody. But like I said, thanks again for having me. All the information that I've shared, I'll definitely be willing to go into greater detail on any platform that you guys have, and also my social media. And to all the fans out there that's tuning in, like I said, don't be afraid to reach out. Many people after, but we're humans. Like I consider, I'm still a human. We all go through emotion. We all go through some of the same struggles. So don't be afraid to reach out to me personally. I told you I'm not a gatekeeper of information. I'll tell you anything that you want to know. With that being said, I hope everybody keeps peace, positivity, and prosperity in their life. Yeah, and also thank you to our fans for asking questions today. Yeah, that was dope. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, so thank you again, and this is awesome. Yeah, thank you.